Ever since I was a little kid, video games have been extremely important to me. They've been a huge influence on my personality, brought me and my brother closer, helped me learn life lessons, and taught me valuable skills. Even when I was too little to play anything, I used to watch my dad play Red Dead Redemption, God of War, and Star Wars games. And when I was old enough, I would play games that are just ingrained into my heart. I remember playing Plants vs. Zombies, the Little Big Planet games, Minecraft, Angry Birds, Terraria, Five Nights at Freddy's, Portal, and my favorite game, even now, Garden Warfare 2. And fast forward to now, I am much more dedicated to them. For one, I've played a whole lot more of them, I like to play and analyze them, I've sunk thousands of hours into them, I bring my Switch and my Steam Deck with me on the bus, I've made a video game shrine on my wall, hell, I even listen to the soundtracks in my car and while I work. And what I'm most proud of, I've gone as far to get all achievements in 50 games, and many of them have stories, which I've been playing many of. In fact, I think video games are a great medium for telling stories. Some of the greatest stories I've ever seen have been from video games. And then I go to talk to people who don't play video games, and I just see stuff like this. This view just frustrates me as video games are much more than simple stimulation for the senses. Which I'll admit, some games do fit in this view. Plants vs. Zombies has a really bare bones plot, and Blotcher was literally just poker. But what I see is that people brush up all video games as this, without regard for the truly remarkable tales they make. They might see them as campy, which again, can be true depending on what game you play.
Hey, are you okay?
Yeah. Nighty-night. Nights.
But every medium has a campy outlier. I mean, I don't see people giving Sharknado a standing ovation. And video games are far more than that. They are real pieces of literature. I think video games are a great medium to tell a story. Depending on what game you're playing, they can be on par with the storytelling in movies, books, and shows. The video game medium has a whole arsenal of creative ways to write and tell these stories that are genuinely compelling. An example I could give is Celeste. It's a short game that turns the analogy of climbing a mountain into a game. It covers real human emotion like depression and self-worth. It correlates this analogy by making the game really difficult to complete, just when working as your mental health is a difficult thing to overcome. The game using its own difficulty to make a point is exclusive to video games and a great way to do so in my opinion. Before I explain how video games are used in order to build their stories, I want to specify that storytelling is a tool to convey the story. The story can be as good as you want, but the way that you tell the story is what makes it special. Many games excel with their stories, but many other games excel with the way they tell them. A while ago, I played a really good game called Nine Souls. The actual story in this game is a really good one. The story elements are great, the environments are stunning, and the whole game has a very unique art style which the developers called Taopunk. In short, the word is a combination of two genres. That being Taoism, which is an ancient Chinese religion that focuses on stuff like balance and harmony, basically what you think of ancient China. And the other word is Cyberpunk, which is an art style with high-tech futuristic technology and dystopian societies. A game that uses the cyberpunk style is Cyberpunk. As you can see, it has bright neon lights and is generally technological. The Taopunk style leaves you in wonder when you see the world, and makes you get a vibe for the areas you see, which has a lot of storytelling potential. But how does the game convey its story to you? Yeah, it just buries you in dialogue for minutes on end, often just giving you long info dumps on what's going on, what we need to do, what movie theater is in right now. It's really just a lame method to explain your story, especially because the game has a really good one to tell, and yet I've seen people put off just because of the long dialogue. But the world they made is really good, but it doesn't really show the story. I mean, occasionally the setting does give you an idea, but take this place for example. It looks nice, sure, but would you have guessed it's about the preservation of antiques and about an old man clinging onto the past? Probably not. But on the other hand, you've got Hollow Knight. If you're a Hollow Knight fan, you know it's been talked to death about his world building. But I still want to talk about it because for one, I dislike the game, 2, it's my video and I do what I want, and 3, Hollow Knight is the absolute gold standard for world building. For those who aren't aware of this game, Hollow Knight is a game where you explore a dead kingdom as a silent protagonist, meaning the game gives you a sense of loneliness as the game has very little dialogue, so it has to tell its story through the incredibly rich art direction and environments. Exploring the environments of this game just gives it such a cool story because you can pick apart the game for its details, which makes the whole game more mysterious and immersive than it already was. Every area of the game has its own theme and idea. For example, Fog Canyon is a big pink bubbly area full of jellyfish things, Green Path is an overgrown lush cave system, Crystal Peaks is a large gem mine full of moving parts, The Hive is a bunch of bees tucked away from society, Deep Nest is absolutely terrifying, and the City of Tears, which is a desolate shell of a former society. It's definitely my favorite place in the game, not only because it's pretty, but also because it can be picked apart to get an understanding of its history. Unlike Nine Souls, Hollow Knight tells you close to nothing. Aside from the few NPCs and small lore tablets, your lens into the world is primarily visual inputs and small details. For example, in the City of Tears, the reanimated citizens you defeat drop money for you to pick up, but the citizens in the upper class areas drop more money, implying that there's a class division within the kingdom. And the game is absolutely filled with these small details that, on their own, make a minor impact, but adding them up all together makes an entire world. Environmental storytelling is probably the most effective way to make your game mysterious, yet informative in my opinion. It really makes you want to explore this abandoned world with a perspective that lets you make your own conclusions at a slow pace. And that aspect of Hollow Knight really is just so cool to me. You can ask questions about the smallest things and you might even have answers to them. You could find a dead bug and ask a few questions. Is there danger up ahead? Were they trapped? Did they like jazz? It's a great way to create immersion and I could talk about it for hours, maybe even make a standalone video. And by the way, I'm not sure how to fit this part into the video, so I'm just going to squeeze this part right here. But this game is very difficult. I spent a lot of time in this game just trying to defeat the bosses, and I think it really serves the story well, as it gives you a more in-depth look into how powerful a character is, as you're personally trying to best them. The first boss is easy because it's revealed to be an untrained bug who stole somebody's armor, and the hardest boss in the game is extremely difficult because they're an actual god who controls an entire kingdom. I'd like to show you how I reacted to beating the hardest challenge in the game, which is a 45-minute gauntlet of every single boss in the game.
Shit. Yes! Oh! Oh! Yes! Baby girl.
To conclude this video, I want to express that I don't think video game stories are inherently better than other mediums. I do think they can play with storytelling elements in more interesting ways, but the quality of the stories is entirely dependent on the writers who write them. Again, I don't think video games are better than other mediums. While I do play video games far more, I do enjoy movies, plays, and shows. I do also want to say that video games are the medium with the biggest flaw with storytelling, that being the player. The fact that a player can do anything means they can do something uncharacteristic for the role. Like, I have some serious doubts that Arthur Morgan would ever randomly decide to intentionally hit his friends with a road sign.
Bear left here, towards roads.
Or John Marston go up to a random bridge, throw hatchets at it, and somehow get shot up thousands of feet into the air. Of course the second example is a glitch, but they are technically still in the game, meaning depending on how you interpret them, they could be canon to the story. I don't mean to unconvince you that video games are a good medium, but I am just trying to show you that all mediums have their flaws, especially video games, but they will always remain deep in my heart as something to cherish.